Okay guys, so this is the last video for this week's lecture. So we had just chatted about the developmental model of intercultural sensitivity up until this point. And what we're wondering now really is, asking just very basic questions like, at what stages do you think the most learning occurs? So I want you guys just to think about that for a minute or so, and just have a look at the the previous slides, if you can, around the same time. So what stage or stages do you think the most learning occur? Right, so I think if you've all kind of looked back at the previous slides, you'll probably all agree that certainly the reversal and the minimization stages under ethnocentric are really strong learning moments and learning stages. So an awful lot of learning goes on there, and certainly also into the acceptance stage. Okay, that we start to learn about these new cultural patterns and start accepting them for what they are. So there's a huge amount of learning at those kind of three stages right in the middle, these kind of threshold stages. Okay, and then if we go to the next question, what stage or stages is or are the most performative? So in what stages do we have to do the most rather than it being an internal process of development? What stages do we actually have to perform things in? So if you want to just have a quick think about that for a minute or so, and decide at what stage or stages we are the most performative. So yeah, so I think if you've thought about it, really, if you look at adaptation and integration under ethno-relativity, those are the stages that are the most performative when it comes to developing intercultural sensitivity, because we're altering our perception, which is an internal process, but we are then also altering our behavior, and we perform our behavior in the real world. So there's a very strong performative side there. And then also integration. Yeah, so we're integrating practices into the self, and we're constructing a new identity that is comprised of the various cultural practices that we've come to agree on. And then really, I suppose one of the big questions, and this is a question that's often asked in the research literature, is, is the integration stage reachable? And certainly the integration stage is reachable for anybody. However, there is an awful lot of research to show that it takes quite a long time to get to the integration stage. So within the year abroad context, the integration stage may not necessarily be something that is achievable for everybody. However, some people will feel that they've very much reached that stage within the developmental model. So it really is very much a situation that varies from person to person. Okay, so then just to do a little bit of practice as well of applying, the kind of the six stages that we've talked about under the developmental model. So we're going to look at just some statements here, and we can try and see, can we guess to what particular stage in the process that these sort of people belong. Okay, so we'll just do maybe the first two slides of these, and then we'll leave it there, and you guys can practice a little bit of that on your own if you'd like. So someone says, all big cities are the same. Lots of buildings, too many cars, and McDonald's. So what stage do we think that person is at? So this particular person is said to be at the denial stage. So I hope that's what everybody came up with. All right. So why is it the denial stage? Well, really what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that they're just not interested. They're not interested in cultural difference. They don't think that there is no difference between cultures, so they kind of completely ignore and dismiss the idea of cultural difference and don't engage with it whatsoever. Okay, so they try and simplify and distance themselves from the stage. Okay, so we're talking about denial there. The next one, when you go to other cultures, it makes you realize just how better the US is. So apart from that being a typically American response, what do we think, what stage do we think that particular person is at? So again, I think what we're talking about here is we're talking about the denial and defense stage, and in particular, we're talking about defense. Okay, that they're trying to create this polarization, and they're trying to create this very strong dichotomy of us versus them, where the us is superior to the them. Yeah, so we're talking here about the US is much better. So very much defense. And then the last one, with my experience, I can be successful in any culture without any special effort. So what stage do we think that particular person is operating in? So I think that person is very much in the denial stage. Okay, so we're talking again about the idea of dismissing the impact of culture. Okay, so trying to simplifies and polarize cultural difference and kind of move away from it entirely. Just kind of saying, well, culture doesn't matter, and I'm amazing, and my culture is fantastic, etc. Okay, and then just a couple of more here. It's a small world after all, so very short comment there. But if we look back at the stages, what stage do we think that person is at? So really what we're talking about here is minimization, okay? So what they're doing is they're minimizing the differences between cultures. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to highlight cultural commonality and universal values. Yeah, so they're trying to, say, well, yes, okay, people are different, but really what we all are at the end of the day is we're all similar. We're all human beings. We all believe in right and wrong, etc., etc. Yeah, so highlighting the kind of the universal values shared across all cultures. The next one, I wish I could give up on my own cultural background and really be one of those people, or one of these people, sorry. So what stage do we think that particular person's at? So really what we're doing here again is we're looking at it and it very much is coming out of the idea of defense, yeah? So they're trying to defend themselves. From trying to engage in cultural difference. You could also say that there's a slight reversal there. So the idea of being, my own culture is inferior and I want to move towards another culture. And then I never experience culture shock. So I think this one is probably an easy one. And again, it's this whole idea of denial. Yes, the denial of cultural difference, and that cultures can be so different in such a way that it could become difficult for someone to operate in another culture with a different set of norms and values associated with it. Okay, so we're going to leave it there, guys. And there's a couple of more slides there with these sort of little tests attached to it, so feel free to do those, and also don't forget to keep up with everything that is posted to Moodle. So I'll make sure obviously to put this PowerPoint up on Moodle as separate to this particular screencast, and also keep an eye out for the materials that Lisa will be putting up that you guys normally do in the tutorials. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you all again next week. Bye, guys.